Good morning everybody and welcome to Trent Bridge Live. Today is day 2 in this top of the table clash between Nottinghamshire and Sussex in Division 1. Now after the first day, a real strong day for Nottinghamshire yesterday, they currently trail by only 5 runs. A very positive day with the ball in the morning and the afternoon saw Nottinghamshire bowl out Sussex for 169 and they ended the day on 164 for 3. But let's remind you of all the action, all the wickets and all the runs with the day 1 highlights.
As Brett Hutton in and bowls, and that's edged and caught, and there's a wicket.
Best as in comes Hutton bowls, and more runs here for Tom Clark as he nudges that one down through the slip cordon. In and bowls. Oh, crumbs almighty. Oh, Daniel Hughes gets a very fortunate boundary. It's a thick inside edge that bowls to Hughes, who drives nicely. Lovely shot. Best shot of the morning. Over pitch from Brett Hutton.
This season.
Hutton in bowls. Hughes cuts and he's caught. Very well caught. Low down at backward point.
Tong bowls right into the pads and appeals, and he's got a wicket. That was just too quick for Tom Allsop. Nearly knocked him off his feet. Early to watch the draft this morning as this one skews out off the outside edge and runs down to third man for a boundary. Second, as Fergus O'Neill bowls, nice looking shot down the ground for 4 by Ollie Carter.
Again, bowls to Carter, drives pleasantly into the offside. There is no run, and that will be Lund. Tongue in bowls to James Coles. He's going to be caught at mid-on, and I rather think the previous delivery accounted for James Coles there.
But at the moment, here's Hutton. Bowls now and chopped away for 4 to that unforgivingly short side. And I know there's Tong bowling, and this one's cut over, slips and away for 4. And I know it's not Joe Cole, it's James Coles, isn't it?
Around the wicket now, bowls to John Simpson, short, and Simpson says thank you and pulls that away through mid wicket for 4 runs. In goes Brett Hutton, comes running in and bowls to Carter, who hammers that one away down towards third man. Is he going to pick up a boundary? Yes, he does. In comes Hutton. Bowls. Simpson is caught, and Brett Hutton picks up his 4th wicket of the day. John Simpson is annoyed with himself.
Liberating over towards the cathedral. Not a soul inside the ground, it's behind closed doors. Comes again and stomping. Verena whips the bails off. Here comes Tong. Bowls now, edged, caught, good catch. Good catch, Joe Clark. Game for over a year, he's in again and bowls, edged and caught. He's got another one, and this time it's Duckett. And Carson goes for 6. And now Josh Tong's got 4. Facing Josh Tong, who's played 2 for England down the leg side, and he's got a wicket. Verena with a leg side catch.
As Robinson is in and bowls, and he drives handsomely. Gets 4 runs. Doesn't time it quite as well as I thought. On his way, bowls, and so the back, and he absolutely thrashes. Didn't time it quite as well as I thought, but he's still picked up 4 runs.
From the Stuart Broad end, bowls to Hamid again, width offered and width accepted. 6 balls, he only need to bowl 1 over, 3 wickets.
Jayden Seales in bowls to Ben Slate, who drives handsomely. That's probably the shot of the innings so far, actually, over pitch by Jayden Seales.
Robinson to Hamid, lovely shot.
A single. In comes Seales, bowls, and nicely played by Slater. Jayden Seales has been annoyed with himself, a bit too much weight on his way. Bowls, and Slater's at it again. That's going to be 4 more. Seales in again, bowls, and he's caught. And Seales gets his revenge. Hudson Prentice again. Bowls, all driven uppishly down the ground, but that's going to be 4 runs. From Clark, slightly over pitching there, Finn Hudson. Hudson Prentice is in, bowls, and caught! That's a very good catch. A very good catch. Joe Clark is quite within his rights to stand there and just question, but it was a really good catch.
Seales in, driven away for 4 more. This time it's the Notts captain, Hamid.
In comes Clark. Bowls, cut away firmly, and that's 4 runs. Too much width really from Tom Clark, and he just stepped back and had plenty of time to steer that one away.
Since then the brakes are off, and this one's drilled through the offside, and that's going to be 4 more, but 6 more, because again the umpire.
Robinson in again. Bowls. There we are. Tucked onto the onside, and he goes through for a comfortable single. It's a very fine 50 by Hamid.
So, as I said at the start of this show, a real strong day for Nottinghamshire with the ball. It started with Brett Hutton. He ended up with 4 wickets in the day, but it was Nottinghamshire's number 24, Josh Tong, that got to keep that red ball. His first fifer for Nottinghamshire, a real great spell of bowling from all, really, the Notts bowlers, but it was Josh Tong. 2 maidens as well, a real spell of fast pace bowling. Really well done to Josh Tong there. So, of course, who did the Trent Bridge media team speak to at the end of the day? Well, it was Nottinghamshire's Josh Tong.
Josh, well bowled. The opposition dismissed and we almost have a lead. As days of first-class cricket go, they don't come much more positive than that.
Yeah, it's obviously a great day. Obviously winning the toss, putting them in. I thought legend Ferg bowled really well this morning. Obviously getting them, 4 down at lunch. We knew if we just stuck in there, and luckily we got those last 6 wickets in that second session, and obviously finished the day off with Hass and Hainsey there. Yeah, couldn't think of a better day really.
Yeah. How important was that first spell from Brett Hutton in putting the pressure on and immediately getting us onto the front foot?
Yeah, it showed from last week as well, Edgbaston, how he bowled. Just puts them under the pump a bit early on in the game. In that first session, obviously it was a bit of green on the wicket, trying to use as much as the surface as we could, and he bowled amazing again. I'm quite glad I'm not batting against him. So.
And then on came you, another 5-wicket haul for yourself. It doesn't feel very long since we were talking about your last one here only 2 weeks ago. How are you feeling with the ball at the moment? You look like you're in very good form.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting better each time I'm bowling. I feel like my rhythm was a lot better today than probably even in the Durham game from ball 1. But yeah, it's just amazing to contribute to the team and put us in a good position for tomorrow.
How do you think the pitch is playing at the moment? It seemed like there was a little bit of variable bounce, especially from the Stuart Broad end.
Obviously it did a bit this morning, but there was a phase and it obviously flattened out a tiny bit. We just knew that we'd stick the ball in the right areas and hopefully get our rewards. But I feel like if you don't hit the right areas consistently enough, you can score at a good rate, which showed in that last session with Haas, definitely. So yeah, I think that's the main thing on this pitch, is try and be boring in certain degree, and then hopefully the rewards come.
And then in the evening session, obviously Haas and Jack Haynes almost got us virtually level and almost into a lead. Hamid seems to be scoring runs for fun at the moment.
Oh yeah, he's amazing to watch, isn't he? Obviously this is my first proper year watching Haas go about his business. It's a proper captain's knock, and hopefully we can just pile on the runs tomorrow and to put them under pressure again. Yeah,
and obviously I'm sensing a little bit of this is a good day, but the game's not won yet, of course. So that's how we go about things.
Oh yeah, you know, cricket's a funny game. Anything could happen. Obviously we've had a really good day today. We just got to make sure we come back tomorrow morning and just do what we've done today, really, and then just see where the day takes us tomorrow.
The thoughts of Nottinghamshire's Josh Tong there after a great day yesterday. Now, the Sussex players are already out. The umpires are making their way down the steps, and Hasib Hamid and Jack Haynes are making their way down the steps as well. So it's time for me to hand over to your BBC radio commentary team of Adrian and Dave.
And a very good morning, everybody. Thanks to Aaron Lord for setting up the day on the live stream on Trent Bridge Live, and to all of you for joining us on what is a hazy sort of morning. It's a little chilly. Hopefully it'll stay dry. I think that's the general outlook. If we cop a shower, we'll be a little unlucky, I fancy. Hopefully we'll get through and have another full and enjoyable day of Division 1 County Championship cricket between what were 24 hours ago the 2 table toppers in Division 1, Nottinghamshire and Sussex. Notts dominating the day yesterday. Sussex need to fight back today, and I'm sure that'll be uppermost in their thoughts that they're capable of doing it. Notts will begin on 164 for 3 with Hasib Hamid and Jack Haynes at the crease, and we'll be underway in a minute or two. So a very good and formal welcome to you. I'm Dave Bracegirdle from BBC Radio Nottingham, and delighted to have you along on this fairly lazy Saturday afternoon. Lots of sporting interests, I'm sure, for you all over the weekend, but our focus of attention very much on what's going to happen here and how this initial pre-lunch session will pan out. Alongside me, the voice of cricket in the south, the voice of Sussex cricket, the former Doc Martin extra. A very good morning to Adrian Harms.
Good morning to you, Dave. That's very kind of you.
That's right, wasn't it? Doc Martin extra?
No, I've never. No. I've been down to that part of the world. My friend's daughter was involved.
Here we go, off on a tangent.
Yeah, in Doc Martin, yeah. But we went down to, I forget the name of the place now, where it's filmed. Down in Cornwall.
Port something or other.
Yes, Port Isaac.
That's it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Ollie Robinson's going to change ends, Dave.
Yes, indeed.
You've got an update to do.
Yes, 11 o'clock. So we're slightly late in getting underway because we've got the 11 o'clock news on BBC Radio Nottingham in our ears, but we're going to get underway with Ollie Robinson bowling from our end of the ground, the Ratcliffe Road end, and the first of almost 600 legal deliveries on the day is a dot ball dropped on the leg side. Tom Haynes doing the fielding, and for reasons that I'm sure Adrian will touch on once or twice, he gets a huge round of applause from his teammates for the simple task of picking the ball up. 164 for 3. Sussex 169 all out, so Notts have got themselves into a fantastic position at the end of day one. Can Sussex come roaring back and get some pre-lunch wickets here to get them back into the contest? Robinson, England test bowler, and he's delivered a no ball there, which is turned on the leg side by Jack Haynes, and the first runs of the morning are 2 for the no ball. Again Haynes fields, again he gets a huge round of applause. That joke must be wearing pretty thin.
Yes.
And Notts, without doing anything really, have reduced the deficit to 3 runs now with that no ball. Seem to think all the no balls have come from this end. Something perhaps to have a little look at. Here is that update then for Radio Nottingham. We're just about to get my cue. Hazy sort of morning here, but dry, and we're underway on time with Notts carrying on from what was a terrific first day. They've added 2 runs already this morning, courtesy of a no ball. So they're within 3 now of Sussex, who were bowled out for 169. Notts 166 for 3. Asiba Mead leading the home charge. He's 67 not out. There's me 15 seconds, no more, no less.
Well done,
15
Dave.
seconds.
I'm impressed.
As you can see, I've got a stopwatch on there. No, I haven't. Just give it a go. There's Robinson. When he had 2 legal deliveries, it seems like I thought we were coming to the end of the over. He's in now, and Jack Haynes again plays it for the 3rd ball in a row out to Haynes. Not so much of a clap this time. Who's that at second slip? Because he seems to be the
Tom Clark.
He seems to be the wag. He seems to be the one that orchestrates it every time.
Yeah, so he's meant to be a good mate of Tom Haynes. They played some cricket together at junior levels down at Horsham, and so they ought to be good mates, really. I'm sure Tom Haynes... It all comes because last week a 12th man came in, Tom Haynes went off, the 12th man put a chance down, and I don't think they realised Tom Haynes was going off, so he's getting a bit of stick.
There's Ollie Robinson, past umpire Newell. Bowls pushed into the offside for the first run off the bat this morning from Jack Haynes. So they exchange ends, these 2 right-handers. 167 for 3. Lovely to have you along. If you'd like to get in touch, I'm on the old Twittery thing, X or whatever you want to call it, at Brace Cricket, and Adrian kindly will take emails from all and sundry. So if you want to sign him up to a book club, the address is
sussexcricket@bbc.co.uk.
That couldn't be any simpler.
Are you a member of a book club, Dave?
Not really. Hamid on strike, and he's struck round about the thigh pad as he tries to turn it on the leg side. Always got a book or 2 on the go.
Interesting.
My good lady will dip on that sort of cheap site that begins with an A and source me out a couple of crimey type ones. I will generally always buy for myself sports autobiographies. That's Robinson Bowles, and this is push back to Ollie Robinson. So end of the over, 3 runs from it, 1 from the bat, 2 courtesy of a no ball. Notts 167 for 3, trailing by 2. If you weren't with us yesterday, Notts won the toss, put Sussex in, bundled them out for 169, which seems on the face of it to be a below par score. Josh Tong leading the way with 5 wickets, Brett Hutton with 4. And then Nottinghamshire, although they lost 3 wickets in relatively quick succession, Slater, Duckett and Clark all gone. Their skipper, Asiba Mead, as he so often does in these sorts of situations, just hung around, waiting for a partner, and that partner is Jack Haynes.
Well, it's going to be Jaden Seals who's going to open up from the Stuart Broad end. Expensive yesterday, Jaden. 8 overs for 44, I think were his figures. It's showing us Jack Carson on the scoreboard, but it isn't. It's definitely Jaden Seals who's running in hard towards us. In and bowls and picks a wicket with his first ball of the day, and Jack Haynes is on his way. Well, I said Jaden Seals didn't bowl that well yesterday. This morning he's come straight up with the goods. And Haynes has gone without adding to his overnight score. First ball he's received this morning, caught behind by John Simpson. And Nottinghamshire 167 for 4, just the start that Sussex would have wanted.
Very much so, yeah. He did had one in that first over, Haynes, didn't he? He was on strike. I don't think Hamid's faced a ball yet. 167 for 4, but at the start of the 39th over, Jaden Seals, somebody's gone with a little bit of a gut feeling. Let's switch them over, Robinson and Seals. It may well have been primarily just to get Robinson down to this end rather than to get Seals to the other, but how it works, it doesn't really matter. It has worked for Sussex, and Jack Haynes goes for 35 at the crease for 70 minutes, faced 58 balls, 6 fours, was looking in reasonable nick. That partnership of 87, Nottinghamshire's highest 4th wicket partnership so far of the season, beating the 83 that Haynes and Hamid put on against Essex in the last home match. So 167 for 4. Now this fella has been feast or famine, but when it's feast, when he tucks in and plays his shots, he's a high quality performer. It's Kyle Verreynne, the South African Test wicketkeeper, who is a terrific bat. As I say, on his day, he averages over 50 in first-class cricket. For my money, he's the best current wicketkeeper batter in Test cricket. So I've given him the build-up, so he'll be on his way anytime soon. But he's a fabulous player. Joined Notts for the latter part of last season. I liked what I saw. Followed his progress again over the winter, and he just churns out hundreds for fun. And he's already had one for Nottinghamshire this season. Here's Seals to bowl to him. Here's Adrian.
From the Stuart Broad end, in and bowls, and Verreynne is forward and plays that firmly to mid-on, and there is no run. I did hear a whisper that Jaden Seals was a bit under the weather yesterday, and he struggled to get his line and length right. That could possibly be, the reason that they've switched ends this morning. I did notice at the end of that Ollie Robinson over, the umpire, is it Newell at this end? Or
yeah.
Umpire Mark Newell was just having a look at where Ollie Robinson was following through. He had a good, long, hard look, so we'll just keep a little eye on that one. And indeed at the other end, Ian Blackwell just having a look at where Jaden Seals is landing his front foot as well. Or follow through, I should say. In comes Seals bowls. That's a pacey delivery that Verreynne lets go outside of the off stump. And there is no run. Coming back to book clubs, I'm not an avid reader, Dave. I have to say, I never seem to have the time to sit down and read a book. There's always something going on. When I do read a book, I do enjoy it. But my wife's a member of a book club, and they meet up every so often. But I think there's a bit of discussion on the book, and then a lot of discussion about.
Not one of those book clubs. No, I thought
everything else.
I thought you meant a subscription.
No,
where they send you one every 2 months or something like that.
In comes Seals and bowls, and Verreynne is beaten outside the off stump. Just a little play and a miss at that. Did Kyle Verreynne, taken by Simpson. No run. Good start here by Jaden Seals. Sussex with 3 slips in place, a backward point, cover mid-off, there's a mid-on, a mid-wicket, and a fine leg down below. So I think that's Jack Carson down here, who's being sort of kept out the firing line because he's got this slightly dodgy finger as Jack, and they're just protecting him a little bit. The Sussex off spinner, Seals Motors in again, bowls to Verena, who punches through the offside. Nice looking shot. Ollie Robinson has to run towards extra cover to field, but Verena is on his way. Notts won 68 for 4.
I think you can make a good case for Notts winning all 3 sessions yesterday, and I think it's pretty clear from the match situation. If they win all 3 sessions today, then the game will be out of Sussex's reach. Sussex really need to come back today. If they win 1 session, they're probably just delaying the inevitable. If they win 2 sessions, they're back in with a sniff of getting something out of it. If they win all 3 sessions today, then the game's very much on an even keel.
Seals in again, bowls 2. He tucks this one nicely through square leg. I think that's going to race away to the boundary for 4. Jack Casting in hot pursuit. In fact, the ball just pulls up about a yard inside the boundary.
He's got a run here.
He has. And in fact,
now then.
Well, that was quite tight, but umpire Newell says not out. It's a very good bit of fielding by Jack Casting, who's got an excellent arm. He was around the boundary very quickly, got in the throw to John Simpson, who then threw the ball at the stumps, and Dave was quite right. Just had to get a little move on there, did Verena, to avoid being run out. However, he doesn't. 170 for 4. What that does mean is that Nottinghamshire are in the lead by 1 run.
Yeah, and they've got their 20 overs quicker than Sussex. I know it was difficult yesterday. Sussex 169 all out in 59 overs. The weather improved during the day. Obviously, the pitch flattened out a little bit, and Notts have taken the lead in 20 overs fewer, 39 overs. What Notts have got to do as well is make sure they get amongst the bonus points here, because it's all well and good dominating day 1 and bowling Sussex out cheaply. Sussex didn't get any batting points, but if Notts are bowled out for 2, 4, 9 or fewer, and the game ends in a draw, it'll be the second week running that Notts have failed to finish off an opponent that they've dominated on the opening day. This has worked on the leg side for a single, and if Sussex get out of here with the same number of bonus points, just 3 bowling points and a draw, and Notts get 3 bowling points and a draw, I think from where they were yesterday, Sussex would take that very much as a positive.
Well, definitely. I mean, I think that the good news is that the weather's going to play ball today. I saw the local forecast; it's very good, and then from tomorrow onwards, warming up. So I think we're going to get 4 full days cricket if it goes up. I think we'll definitely get a result here, Dave, one way or t'other.
He took a single on the leg side from the first ball. That brings Verena down to face Ollie Robinson for the first time, and then elegantly drives through the offside for 4. There's sometimes no stopping them when Carl Verena hits them, but he's not a slogger. He's just a proper textbook technique perfect cricketer. Plays some lovely strokes, and it's difficult to contain. Plays for Western Province, based in Cape Town, alongside the likes of Dane Patterson, who was here at Trent Bridge, is now at Middlesex. David Beddingham, who's with Durham. Here comes Robinson. Won't want to put the ball there again. And this is better, and Verena plays it up to mid-on to Jayden Seals. If you're just joining us, a very good morning from Trent Bridge. Adrian Arms, myself, Dave Bracegirdle. We've already seen a wicket. Jack Haynes out, just adding 1 to his overnight score of 34, and then just nibbled at Seals' first ball he faced from the West Indies international and nicked it behind. It's brought Verena to the crease. And Robinson, tall, strong, powerful man, bowls. And this one shapes away from the South African, goes through to Simpson. Expecting Liam Patterson-White to come in next, so that'll be another left-hander. As I said, he's not played in any of the county championship games thus far this season. Farhan Ahmed has been the only spinner, but Patterson-White's come into that number 7 role as the spinning all-rounder, if you like, replacing Lyndon James, who had to pull out yesterday morning with a viral infection. There's Robinson. Ball's now cut away for 4 more. Unless it pulls up. We did have one that pulled up, didn't we, a moment or 2 ago, and although this one's slowed up, it does reach the ropes. And certainly Ollie Robinson and Sussex have just got to have a look at that. They've either got to put somebody out there as protection, or he's got to tighten his line, because he'll push you through the offside all day long. 2 boundaries in this over to Verena. Already he's on 9, and it's 179 for 4. And Fergus O'Neill, who got his first Nottinghamshire 50 at Edgbaston last week. Brett Hutton, Josh Tongan for Farhan Ahmed. There's Robinson again, final ball of the over, and Verena happy to defend. He's already taken toll of Robinson in this over to the tune of 2 boundaries, 179 for 4, and already Notts lead by 10.
Yeah, John Simpson just gives Ollie Robinson a little pat on the back. I agree with you, Dave. I think having those 2 deliveries that Sussex need to plug that gap. I thought he bowled very well, actually, Ollie Robinson, yesterday evening, probably without very much luck. He did pick up a wicket, the wicket of Ben Duckett. You'd have enjoyed that. But, you know, he bowled for 9 consecutive overs. A lot of people talk about Ollie Robinson's fitness, but he bowled 11 overs on the spin last week at Hove, 9 today. So I think he's certainly fit enough. But he's had a change of ends this morning. Hasn't looked quite as threatening from this Ratcliffe Road end. Jayden Seales, who's picked up the only wicket this morning, counting for Jack Haynes, comes racing in and bowls to Hamid, who plays between third slip and backward point. The ball races away for 4 runs down to the third man boundary. Hamid goes to 74 and Notts to 183 for 4. I guess this is the problem that John Simpson has got now. That he'll want to attack Dave because Sussex need wickets, but he can't afford to leak runs.
No, the runs are coming quickly, aren't they?
They are.
What were we?
164 for 3, so they've already added
19.
Yeah, in the 3 and a bit overs we've had. Can't afford to go at 6 and over. Still the 3 slips in place. Glimmer of sunshine across the ground as Jayden Seales motors in bowls. And he plays this nicely down the ground. He's going to pick up possibly another boundary. Daniel Hughes in hot pursuit. It's going to settle for the 3 runs as Hughes chases down towards the pavilion, which is wrapped in that plastic sheeting. And good applause from the Nottinghamshire faithful, and there are plenty of them here on the terrace away to our right-hand side.
Looks like the Notts skipper's had an extra bowl of breakfast cereal this morning. He's timing it quite sweetly. 7 from 2 balls in this over. He's had a 10 himself this morning, gone from 67 to 77, 2 3s and a 4.
Seales in again, bowls, and forward comes Verena, plays into the offside, fielded there by Tom Haynes. There is no run.
4 other county championship matches in this round, only 5 matches. They've all started on time. Surrey now batting at the Oval. They bowled Somerset out for 283 yesterday. Surrey 15 without loss. At New Road, Durham have lost their 5th wicket. In fact, 6th wicket as I look at it. 58 for 6.
Wow.
Replying to Worcestershire's 162. There's Jayden Seales.
Runs in from the pavilion end, bowl, Stuart Broadend, I should say. Good delivery, pacey delivery taken by Simpson. There's been good bounce in this wicket, Dave, and Simpson's taking that on the up, round about waist high.
2 matches in Division 2. John Simpson's former side, Middlesex, are just down the A52 at Derby, where the home side are now 273 for 5 in the first innings. That was the only ground yesterday, really, that didn't have an awful lot of wickets go down, comparatively speaking. And at Bristol, Gloucestershire made 252, Leicestershire 100 for 4.
So plenty of wickets in the other games as Seales in again and bowls and let go by Verena, taken by Simpson, no run. I guess that game down at New Road, Dave, I think that's the first game of the season down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's been so wet in previous years, I guess.
I presume they've asked. They've had 3 away games, haven't they? And, you'd presume they've asked, and common sense has brought that about. Notts' schedule at the start of the season sees them heavily reliant upon home games. 4 of the first 5 here. That's,
is there a reason for that, or?
I'm sure there is.
Seals in bowls. Verena is caught, and a good catch by James Coles, low down to his right-hand side. And Cole Verena has gone. That's a good catch by Coles. And Verena is gone for 9. And the 2nd wicket of the morning for Jayden Seales, and Notts 186 for 5.
Yeah, as soon as Bracegirdle starts talking a player up, you can guarantee the end is nigh. He's gone for 9 this time, just pushed at it. Good pace from Jayden Seales, who we were looking at yesterday. Got 6 England wickets on this ground last year, and his only previous appearance on the ground, and that's a big scalp, you know. Verena to go cheaply, only out there for 12 minutes, faced 13 balls, hit 2 fours. We saw little sign of what he's capable of, but he's been seen off by a good delivery, good pace from Seals, and a good catch, second good catch of the innings for James Coles. Now Nottinghamshire will once again be looking upon their lower order to stick around with the skipper. But here is Liam Patterson-White, made 165 against Durham seconds on Monday for not seconds, and then the day after took 7 wickets. So he's had a fine week so far, and so if you stick at it, the coaches always say, don't you, you never know when an opportunity might come your way. He wouldn't have been too thrilled about starting the season in the second 11, but he's had the opportunity due to Lyndon James's late withdrawal. Now he's got to make the most of it.
Well, I would say the standard of slip catching in this match from both sides has been outstanding, Dave. I mean, that was a fine catch by Coles, and we saw umpteen good catches from Nottinghamshire yesterday in the slip corner. It's been very, very high quality indeed.
So here's Robinson to bowl to Hamid, and again he's just opened the face. He's in a hurry, Asib Hamid, and he's going to get 2 here. Just angling it down on a angle of 45 between slips and point area. A couple more, 188 for 5. Did this last week at Edgbaston and kept saying who's going to stick around with him. Well, nobody really stuck around with him. Not's got 340 or whatever it was in the first innings, and Hamid ended up carrying his bat 130 odd not out. He's on course to do something similar here. He's on 79. Unless Robinson can dislodge him, he's in and bowls and the Notts skipper. The Notts skipper plays a little officially outside the off stump. The Notts skipper pushes it into the covers.
I wonder if that Jaden Seals has picked up those 2 wickets, and you made the point earlier on about Robinson and Seals bowling from different ends this morning. So I don't know what it is. Maybe they feel there's a little bit more bounce at this end, or a bit more in it for the quick. For some reason they've changed. Will it end? We'll have to ask the question a little later.
There's not a lot of breeze out there, is there? The flags are hanging limply as Robinson in, and Hamid this time just blocks it. But Seals with a couple of wickets this morning, removing Haynes and Verena. 188 for 5.
Yes, figures look a whole pile better, don't they?
Yeah.
8 overs yesterday, 1 for 44. He didn't bowl very well at all, but this morning he's right on the money, is Jaden Seals.
Leading wicket taker for Sussex. Seals going into this game with 10 wickets, so obviously up to 12 already as he pushes this back to Robinson.
Yes, it's just a shame from a Sussex point of view that he's just going to be playing one more game, which will be the game against Worcester. That's when Sussex play next week off, and then Worcester, and then 2 tricky away games down at Taunton and at Southampton.
Had a message in from T, which is now redundant because it was talking about T saying good morning, shame for Jack Haynes, but it gives Kyle a really good chance to score big runs. Well, I'm afraid he's gone as well, T, as you'll be aware. 188 for 5. T says he's going to be glued to the sofa all day today. You enjoy your leisure time, mate. That's the way to do it. If you can have a plan for Saturday that involves sitting on the sofa watching cricket all day, it's not the worst of plans, is it?
No, I agree.
Bit of a quick brekkie maybe, T, before play started.
Well, it's certainly a sporty weekend, isn't it? Stacks going on. There's cricket, football, boxing.
He's clearly not preparing to run the London Marathon tomorrow, is our friend T, as this is pushed into the offside. 188 for 5. Day on the sofa. They'll all be out today, the marathon runners. How many miles will they do today, the keen ones? Just to warm up for running a marathon. Crikey. It'd take you all day to drive 26 miles through the streets of London, wouldn't it, let alone run it. 188 for 5 at the end of that Ollie Robinson over.
Lots of celebrities running. I heard an interview on the way up with Steve Sidwell, the former Albion midfielder. He's running, but he said that in his training a few weeks ago he tore a calf muscle. So he said, I'm going to get round somehow. He said, I think he said John Terry was running as well.
Right.
People running for all sorts of great causes. It must raise millions.
That is
of
the good thing about it, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. It's the good causes.
Yeah, the charities that are the beneficiaries, and of course all the wonderful people that sponsor the runners. Is Jaden Seals.
Yes, he's coming into bowl. His first delivery to Liam Patterson-White. Patterson-White yet to receive a ball. 3 slips go down and Seals is in over the wicket. Bowls. Patterson-White shoulders arms. Lets that one go through to John Simpson. And there is no run. If you just joined us this morning, a couple of wickets have gone down, both taken by Jaden Seals. Jack Haynes just adding 1 to his overnight score, caught by John Simpson for 35. And then Carl Verena very well caught low down by James Coles at the 3rd slip for 9.
The Notts County team, or Notts County today, are away at Harrogate. It's a lunchtime kick-off. I'll come back to that in a second because Seals is going to bowl now.
He's in a bowls. Let go again by Patterson-White, taken by Simpson, no run.
And the co-commentator, obviously I'm not there today, but I've been doing Notts County commentaries last season, this season. Last season we went with co-commentator, the former Notts striker Mark Stallard, and it's one of the great optical illusions in that it looks very much like there's a severe slope on the Harrogate pitch from one end to the other. You look at the advertising boards and what have you, and it looks like there's a big slope.
Seals in the bowls. Patterson-White for the 3rd time lets that go. Simpson takes no run.
And Mark was talking about the slope, and then the groundsman came up and we were having a natter to him. This would be about 2 hours before kick-off last season, and we used to have a slope here, but then we got them all in. We got the grounds maintenance team in and levelled it out. And Stal's looking at it. It really does look like there's a big, and he won't have it, and he won't have it that it's now flat. And he sent a picture. I'm at the ground with the famous slope, Dave. They've arrived there already for the lunchtime kick-off.
Seals in bowls, and again left by Patterson-White through to Simpson. So he said,
so I've just put flat as a pancake, mate.
Does he live in Nottingham? Do you travel to games together, or
we do? He's in the wilderness of South Yorkshire between Rotherham and Sheffield. So
right.
if we're going north, I'll head to his and either leave my car with him or pick him up, or if we're going south, he'll come in this direction. And
does he do all the games with you?
Yeah.
Here comes Seals. Over the wicket bowl. Patterson-White drives. Doesn't quite time it, but it's a nice shot through extra cover. Daniel Hughes is in hot pursuit out towards the extra cover boundary. They'll come back for. Well, they decided there was certainly a 3rd there, but they elected just to take 2 runs. So Patterson-White is on his way. Not 190 for 5. I'd imagine being based in the Midlands, you have some long trips, Dave. At least you sort of,
You must look at a fixture list and think, crikey.
Well, I know next year the lads were looking, saying, because in the Premier League they've lost Southampton, which is a local one, so they've got Burnley, Leeds, and I don't know, possibly a Sunderland or a Sheffield United, or
when do you set off for a 3 p.m. kick-off at Newcastle from Brighton?
In comes Seals and bowls. Let go outside the off stump, taken by Simpson, no run. Ended the over. 190 for 5. Hamid is 79. Patterson-White on 2. Yeah, I don't go to many away games but I know that Johnny and Warren do a lot of travelling.
Yeah. Well, what about when you go to Durham then?
Yeah. Well, in fact, when Sussex do that as a team, if they go to Durham or Scarborough, they would leave on. If it's a Friday start, they would leave on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because of coach driver hours, and you get pretty much all the way there. Yeah, I would. Scarborough, I'd go the day before. Sometimes I come up.
And how long would that
Scarborough
be in miles?
Oh, that was
350.
Yeah, it was a haul. That was. In fact, I didn't realise quite how far it is off the motorway into Scarborough. That's an hour or so.
Yeah. Here's Ollie Robinson. And he bowls to Hamid and he blocks. As ever, we just ramble on from topic to topic, and we'd like very much to hear your thoughts on anything you want to get off your chest, what you feel about this game, where it might go, what you're up to. Does the local league in your area start today? Are you off out to play cricket? Anything you want to get off your chest, get in touch as Robinson bowls, and with soft hands this time Hamid runs it again down towards the fence. It's going to be stopped in the deep, and they'll come back again for 3. But a high percentage of 3s this morning, or a high number of the runs have come via 3s. Hamid is on to 82, 193 for 5. Said earlier, Notts will want to certainly get amongst the bonus points. They'll want to feel that their first day dominance translates into a clear bonus point advantage in this game should it finish in a draw. They'll want to feel that they've taken more out of it than Sussex, who they dominated yesterday. Of course, that doesn't mean to say that they'll dominate today or tomorrow, or indeed the last day if it goes that far. 193 for 5 as Liam Patterson-White, who's got 2 to his name, blocks this one up to Seals at mid-off, and there's no run. Luke Atkinson listening to Dave commentating on the county championship whilst doing house renovations. Very much looking forward to Asib Hamid getting another century. Good work, Luke. There he's sent a photo in, which I've just retweeted, reposted, whatever it is. Luke doing house renovations. Rather you than me, mate. Good luck with all that as Patterson-White shoulders arms. No doubt you've done the graft through the week as well. You've got to work over the weekend. The great Chris Nash with us, sitting outside listening to the commentary. Name your best and worst grounds on the circuit, says Chris. I'll wait till Adrian comes back, because he's just gone to do an update for BBC in the south. I was going to say Radio Sussex, but I know he has to do stuff taking in the Surrey borders as well. Robinson round the wicket, turned to leg by Liam Patterson-White. It will sound as if I'm just playing up to Chris Nash and Adrian Holmes and all the Sussex supporters when I say my favourite away trip, but Radio Nottingham listeners will have heard me say many times when I've been asked by other commentators and correspondents, but Hove is just that little bit special. I've always enjoyed it down there, from the minute you get within range and get a sniff of the sea air to the lovely warm greeting you get from Sam on the gate as Patterson-White punches this to mid-off. I don't know if Sam's listening or not. The first thing I said yesterday on meeting Adrian was inquiring after Sam and his health, and hope he's still down there providing a big cheery smile to all visitors to the county ground. Hove 193 for 5, but Hove certainly right at the top of my away list in terms of favourites. Enjoy going to Lords, not necessarily for anything other than the fact it's the home of cricket, the nostalgia, just the sheer magnitude of the place in terms of what's happened over the years, the great memories there, the chance on a rainy day to go in the museum, which I've done many times. 193 for 5. Hamid is on 82 as Jaden Seals bowls. This is played away square of the wicket on the offside, but I'll touch more on that, Chris, when Adrian comes back and we'll get his favourite trips. He may or may not, as he already has done, go on about how much he enjoys coming here. I think half of the thing as well is Notts don't play in Sussex, they don't play at Hove, or haven't done as much as I would like, they would like, the Notts supporters and members would like, and just maybe it's the same with Sussex. I think we've only been in the same division twice in the last 10 years. This is Seals bowling round the wicket to Patterson-White, goes through to John Simpson. And of course this year, with the unbalance of the first division, sides only meet once here, so again another reason to feel a little cheated that we don't have a return match down in beautiful Hove. 194 for 5. Notts lead is 25 runs. Still got a bit in the locker with Fergus O'Neill, Brett Hutton, Josh Tong and Farhan Ahmed to come as Patterson White drives into the offside, mistimes it slightly but takes a single. 195 for 5. The great man's back after doing his radio updates, and I've set you up for this because we've heard from the great man himself. Mr. Christopher Nash is outside in the lovely Sussex fresh air listening and says one for both commentators. Your favourite and worst grounds to visit on the circuit for whatever reason, and I've already given my wonderful reasons for why I like Hove and I like Lords as well. I've not gone into my worst ground as yet. 195 for 5 is Seals in, bouncer over the head of Hamid. Let's just say when the fixture comes out, we're in the same division as a team that has a white rose as an emblem. I look then to see if it's going to be at wonderful Marine Road, North Marine Road, Scarborough, or elsewhere. And if it's elsewhere, there's a bit of a groan.
Is there? Right, okay. Yeah.
There you are. There you are. I've said it.
There you go. Actually, it's got a bit colder, Dave. It's just like
a bit.
It's not quite as bright. It's quite overcast now.
Well, you had your coat and your muffler and your gloves and your bobble hat on yesterday as Seals bowls, and Hamid will get a single here, just dabbing it out onto the offside. James Coles does the fielding 196 for 5. Got one ball left in this over, then you're going to be on the spot from Chris Nash, your favourite and worst ground on the circuit for whatever reason. But no, I've never got on with Headingley at all, I'm afraid. Just I'm going to say there's something about the place. There's a lot of things about the place, but that's how it goes. 196 for 5. It wouldn't be the same if we all liked them all equally. Seals to go round the wicket again to LPW. Balls now, and the left-hander tucked up in defence. Plays it back to the bowler. 196 for 5 this morning. Notts have lost. Jack Haynes caught behind by John Simpson from the bowling of Jaden Seals for 35. That was 167 for 4, and it became 186 for 5 when Carl Verreynne, the South African keeper, was caught at third slip. Good catch by James Coles. The catching, as Adrian said, has been excellent in this game from both sides. Again, that was off Jaden Seals. So 186 for 5 then, 196 for 5 now.
Well, all of a sudden there's been a double change for Sussex. I mean, in personnel on the field, because Eric Avelas has just come onto the field. I think Tom Alsop I saw running off. And I think the young man who came up yesterday, Ollie Moores, is on the field as well, because I can't think of anyone else who's come up here on the team bus. I'm just trying to work out who's one off. Two people went sprinting off the field, but it's going to be Ollie Robinson who's going to carry on from the Ratcliffe Road end. Comes in and bowls to him. He moves forward into the offside. They've taken a very quick single. Ollie Carter needs to move to his left at cover to field. And one more to the total. Hamid goes to 85, 197 for 5. Well, favourites, Dave. I mean, I just love going to Lords. I think it's the tradition of the ground. Yeah. And what I like about Lords is, I mean, particularly this pass that we get from the ECB allows you to go onto the ground. I always make a point of going out for the toss, and I'm out there thinking, how on earth is someone like me standing in the middle of Lords?
Yeah. So, I know what you mean.
And the ground staff tend to look at you, and you just sort of show the little badge. You think, I'm allowed to be out here.
And as I've just mentioned, on a rainy day as well, they tend to sort of have a look at your badge and let you in the museum. I've spent many hours on a rainy day there wandering around the museum, looking at the artefacts and remembering, and also the pavilion, all those fabulous paintings.
I just love going to Lords. Robinson around the wicket, bowls, and Patterson White is forward, placed and mid-wicket, no run. I would say, in terms of being picturesque, the most picturesque ground I've been to was a couple of years when Sussex played Lancashire up at Sebra School. And that as a setting, Dave, was
I've not been there.
Oh, it was absolutely magnificent. I don't think it's actually in Lancashire technically, but it's in
that little triangle between Cumbria and.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling Chris will probably know this. I think Jimmy Anyon is now master in charge of cricket at Sebra School. It was Martin Spate. There's some good cricketers have gone there as well, not least Harry Brook. In comes Robinson, bowls. Good delivery, a bit more pace from Robinson. Patterson White lets it go outside the off stump. Taken by Simpson in front of first slip. There is no run.
Forgotten Jimmy Anyon, or not had cause to remember him. I seem to think Nash would remember. I seem to think he broke Neil Edwards' arm in a game down at Hove one year. He had to retire with a broken arm. He's a former Warwickshire player, wasn't he, Jimmy?
Yes, he was, and had quite a lot of knee problems, I think, which I think forced his retirement. Very nice man, Jimmy Onion. As Robinson runs away from us, in and bowls. Patterson White pulls down towards deep backward square. It does bounce. Oh, Ollie Carter slips over in the outfield, and he's not hurt, and it's just a single to Patterson White. He didn't quite time that properly. Nonetheless, he picked up a single. He goes to 4, 198 for 5.
He did himself a bit of a whoopsie there, didn't he? He lost. He was going in one direction, and his feet didn't want to go with him.
And now you're going to say worst, and this is tricky.
It's not really. It's not really nice, is it, to pick one out? But
Robinson runs away from us, in and bowls. Nicked and behind, and Ollie Robinson picks up a wicket, caught by John Simpson. And Haseeb is on his way. It's a terrific catch by John Simpson, low to his right. Ollie Robinson celebrates in a typical Ollie Robinson way with a clenched fist, punches the air, and Notts are 198 for 6. And Sussex will feel very much they've had the best of this opening 40 minutes this morning, Dave.
Yeah, and they're right bang back in this game now. They've got a second bowling bonus point. They've got Notts 6 wickets down, but most crucially, they've got rid of the stumbling block that is Haseeb Hameed. He's gone for a splendid 85 at the crease for 191 minutes, so just over 3 hours, 122 balls faced, 12 fours. Very good ovation from the Notts supporters, Notts members that are here, and indeed I would presume the Sussex supporters that are here as well, but they will be, I think, celebrating seeing the back of him. Just a little shot there on the live stream of Fergus O'Neill making his way down the steps. So this is the last match in this little batch of 4 for the Australian Fergus O'Neill. Got first ball duck on debut here. 42 in the second match and 50 last week at Edgbaston. In fact, it was funny. It wasn't funny for him, but he was struck amidships, a really painful blow at Edgbaston. I think before he'd scored last week, he was down for the count. Well, he didn't beat the count at 10. He was down quite a long time, and all gentlemen who've played the game of cricket would know that feeling. He was in absolute agony, but eventually, when they got him back to his feet, there was one ball left in the over. He pulled that for 3, and then went 4-4-6-4, just to show. I'm hurt. I've taken a blow, but I'm going to bounce back.
Well, 2 big wickets for Ollie Robinson in this innings. Haseeb Hameed and Ben Duckett. But as you say, Sussex right back in this. 198 for 6. Robinson is in, bowls to O'Neill, who's forward. Robinson fields off his own bowling. It's the end of Ollie Robinson's over. 17 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 60 for Ollie Robinson. I was talking the press pack last night when the interviews were carrying on, and the word from Ollie Robinson had bowled really well yesterday without any luck. But he's picked up a wicket. He picked up Duckett yesterday. He's picked up Hameed today. So the lead, Dave, is 29.
Yeah. Whilst we're singing Lord's praises as well, I would say in terms of working there, I have had days where the Wi-Fi hasn't connected, the ISDN, the machine we operate through hasn't worked, and I do have a little bit of a downer on 1 or 2 grounds where you are up in the air and you can't open the windows, and
yes, you can't at Lord's. Yeah, you're right.
Just get the atmosphere. Sometimes you do feel a little secluded from what's going on, and you can have the best effects microphone in the world, but it doesn't necessarily translate to getting the whole atmosphere of what the general public out in the stands are feeling. Here's Seals from the Stuart Broad end. First ball of this over is defended on the leg side. The backdrop behind Jayden Seals is of a scaffolded pavilion and lots of tarpaulins, lots of sheets hiding what they're actually doing in there. There's going to be lots more space, more changing rooms. There'll be facilities, dedicated facilities for the women's teams, of course, that play more and more matches here now, as well as the gents. 198 for 6. LPW lets it go through to John Simpson. Grey morning, still no, not even the hint of a ripple from those flags at the far end.
Just in terms of grounds where, I mean, when you do go to a test match ground, I mean, we're lucky to be doing this job and lucky to go to test match grounds.
Yeah.
Whenever we go to Cardiff, there's always really, really small crowds at Cardiff. I mean, I love the city, but it can sometimes be a little bit soulless there where there's so few people in the ground.
There's Seals. Ball's now to Patterson White. He's turned this to leg, and it's going to go for 4. There was half a sniff that Ollie Robinson might be able to cut it off, but that's all there was. The ball just got the better of him and ran away to the boards at mid-wicket. So Notts bring the 200 up. 202 for 6. Up until about 3 years ago, that would have brought them a batting bonus point. Of course, now it begins at 250. Cardiff, whatever flaws, imaginary or real, we all might have about Cardiff, gets away with it due to the variety of cakes that are delivered at tea time every day. The Welsh cakes and the sponges and all the other delights. Next one sees Patterson White just flailing away on the leg side. A little bit like Hove. There's always lots of cakes, I find, when we're down at Cardiff.
One of my other favourites, Dave, would definitely be New Road. I enjoy going down to Worcester, and I enjoy particularly the press box at Worcester, which is a good old-fashioned press box. We're all in together, and the banter around that press box is wonderful.
It'll be very different next time we go, with
the
loss of our old mate John Curtis.
Yeah, lovely man.
Listeners last week and the week before, in fact, will have heard me going on about John Curtis, who we sadly lost 2 or 3 weeks ago now, as Jaden Seals bowls a bouncer and past the left shoulder. And I did say, for many members of the general public, or the sports fans who like football and cricket in particular, you might not know all that well the name John Curtis, but you'll have read his match reports. He's covered more Football World Cups than just about any member of the written media on behalf of the Press Association. So his copy would have gone to all sorts of news agencies and websites and whatever over the last 30 years. The same with cricket. There's a lot of football through the winter, as we know, as this is dropped on the leg side, but New Road was his home. He was a bastion of the New Road press box. And Frank Watson yesterday, who's somebody that Adrian and I know very well, shares the BBC commentaries of Worcestershire with Dave Bradley, but Frank Watson yesterday put on his Twitter account, his X account, a piece that Worcestershire had done, the club, that written about the love of John Curtis, and I know I liked it and commented on it. I don't know if I retweeted it. I'll do that now. Like I say, if you're not too familiar with the works of JC, it's worth a read, and you'll understand what we all feel about the man.
Robinson in bowls to O'Neill, who plays down the track, fielded by Robinson off his own bowling. There is no. Well said, Dave. And you get onto Worcester every year. John was always so welcoming, and the banter in that press box with John and Dave Bradley, it was just, it was a real treat.
There we are, at Brace Cricket, a tribute to my mate JC from Worcestershire County Cricket Club there.
Lovely. I think there was, well, I don't know, in fact it was mentioned in the Times this morning, there was a minute's silence yesterday at the ground as well.
So they should be. It's their first home game, isn't it, this year, because I didn't want the ground to be flooded again.
Robinson in bowls, and a good catch by Tom Clark. Ollie Robinson picks his 3rd wicket of the innings, and yet another excellent catch taken at second slip by Tom Clark, high to his right hand side. O'Neill is on his way, and that's the 4th wicket of the morning that's gone down, and Nottinghamshire are 202 for 7.
Tell you what, this is unravelling very, very quickly here. The game moving on rapidly, but not as Nottinghamshire would have wanted. It's almost, as we said before, a ball had been bowled this morning. Sussex have to get into this game. They needed to win this morning session, and really they need a good day. If they can win all 3 sessions, and they're bang right back into it. And so far they've done it. What time is it? It's only 10 to 12, not quite 10 to 12. So they've moved on quite dramatically here. Of Sussex, 164 for 3 were Notts, now 202 for 7. Let's have a go at the old Rachel Riley's. What's that? 38 for 4 this morning. That tells you everything. It's almost what Sussex were in the first hour yesterday.
It is. And we were talking, Dave, yesterday. We were saying how these games between Sussex and Notts in recent years, particularly here, just don't seem to go the course. No. And if Chris is listening, he'll remember a game up here probably 10 years ago that started on a Friday. I didn't do the first day because I was covering the Albion at Norwich, and that game finished in 2 days. I remember Sussex didn't distinguish themselves with the bat and got were on the wrong end of a bit of a hiding up there that week. And then the second division game here 2 or 3 years ago finished in 3 days. And this one we've had 17 wickets and we're only halfway through the 4th session of the match. Just going back to Cardiff, I mean, I do love this. One of my daughters went to university in Cardiff, and so I really love the city. One thing I do like about going to Cardiff is that you can stay in a hotel, and I love the walk through Butte Park in the mornings as well, which is lovely. It's just the fact that there's sometimes not that many spectators there. But anyway, Ollie Robinson on his way, runs away from us, in and bowls, and forward comes Brett Hutton, plays onto the onside, fielded by Tom Haynes, who again gets this round of applause. And there is no run. Favourite ground. He's up into Harrendell, Eastbourne, Hastings and Horsham. I think Eastbourne shades it for me. Happy memories of close games there in the Championship and one-day games. Outgrounds is a different issue, I guess. I mentioned Sedbergh, which is obviously an outground. In comes Robinson, bowls to Hutton, who steers us onto the onside. And Tom Haynes again gets raucous applause and sends a not very good throw that John Simpson fields, or takes, I should say, and there is no run. I don't know if you've ever been to Colchester, Dave.
No.
Sussex were there a few years ago, and nice ground, but in terms of the broadcast facilities, the ISDN line, which we have to plug our equipment to, is actually up a telegraph pole. So they have a ladder you have to climb up to plug. You have to take a big length of reel of cable, and so we're very well looked after. But
I've done.
That's quite funny.
Southend, Gowran Park, was it?
Not done that.
But generally, they only play at Chelmsford now, don't they?
Robinson in bowls, played into the offside by Hutton. There is no run. Yes, they do.
Here's one for all cricket lovers and aficionados, and also fans of just top-notch comedy, thanks to Nigel King. This is an alert for everybody who loves cricket and everybody who loves a good comedy. Dave, tonight, the Dad's Army episode, The Test, the one that stars Fred Truman, is on BBC Two tonight, 8:05. Can you remember that? Fred Truman in Dad's Army tonight. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So there's one. Thanks to Nigel.
Robinson in bowls to Hutton, who's forward, plays into the offside. Another good tidy over from Ollie Robinson. Notts 202 for 7, an over which accounted for Fergus O'Neill, very well caught by Tom Clark at second slip. Notts 202 for 7, Hutton yet to score, Patterson White on 8.
Yeah, not seen it for a long time. And then Fred came snorting in off his long run to bowl to Captain Mannering.
I would imagine that only ended one way, to be honest.
What a great character. Was it Arthur Lowe, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Captain
was.
Mannering, and he's always the butt of all the jokes. I think so Seals and Robinson, just coming back to the present, have now bowled for 50. Well, by the end of this over, it'll be almost an hour together. Seals bowls, Liam Patterson White punches it back on the bounce. It's fielded by the bowler.
I think my favourite character in that was Private Walker, wasn't he? One who
the spiv.
Yeah, he always had the dodgy cigarettes or whatever it was that he wasn't meant to have.
Yeah, no, it's a terrific combination of characters. They don't like it up on Captain. John the Missouri as Sergeant Wilson. Very much the yin to Mannering's yang.
Yeah.
Seals round the wicket, that familiar white wristband. Very visible now because it's a little gloomy, isn't it? And
it
is.
is
Wide of the off stump through to Simpson.
Yeah, I mean, these are good bowling conditions. I mean, there's not a break in the cloud. I mean, the cloud is high, but there's not a break in the cloud anywhere. I mean, I think away grounds are a different issue. I mean, yeah, we're very lucky in Sussex. I mean, Arundel is a beautiful cricket ground. It's not the easiest for broadcasting because you're running cables here, there, and everywhere.
I've been there.
Right.
3 or 4 years ago. I was in that part of the world and deliberately went and had a look, had a walk round, and Seals in. Patterson White plays this square of the wicket on the offside. Will take a single, 203 for 7, but I think there's only Horsham and Hove that commentated from. Never went to Eastbourne or Hastings when games were played there.
Well, Eastbourne latterly, pre-COVID, there was a couple of one-day games down at Eastbourne at the Saffrons. But since COVID, they haven't played at Eastbourne or Horsham. But they are back. Arundel's back on the circuit for a one-dayer this year in the 50-over Cup.
Played many times back in my Forces days at the one of the main naval grounds at Chichester. This is a very, very, very short bouncer from Jayden Seals that somehow John Simpson prevents from going over his head. But it was called as no balls or wides. It was called at something at the other end. I was watching Simpson acrobatically take off to prevent it going over his head. I think Brett Hutton would needed to have been stood on Brett Hutton's shoulders to have reached that. Gosh, that was short, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah,
but anybody who says there's no life in this surface should have seen that delivery. There's plenty of life still in it. Decent wicket, actually. Giving a little bit for the bowlers at the moment, and Hutton will cut this away for 4, as so often happens after a sharp bouncer. The next delivery is cut away for 4 as he offers too much width outside the off stump. Nice shot from Brett Hutton, so he's up and running on 4 this morning. Notts have lost Jack Haynes for 35, Asiba Mead for 85, Carl Verena for 9, and Fergus O'Neill without scoring.
Give me a wicket like this any day, Dave. There's been a lot of talk about the amount of draws in the county champ. There's just a bit in it for the bowlers. I thought the game at Edgbaston was a pretty dull game because there wasn't much in it for the bowlers.
Seals in, and Brett Hutton just holds the bat inside the line. 210 for 7.
Jamie's been in touch. He says our favourite away as Sussex fans is a glorious trip to the dips of North Yorkshire, where we have the privilege of turning out at Scarborough. 2 years on the bounce. As diehards, we've booked in for all 4 days this year, commuting in from York each morning on the scenic railway journey across Morton and Seamer. Can you talk us through your ideal 4 days at Scarborough, including local boozers, eateries and other places of interest? Do you ever yourself take in the delights of York, Whitby or Staithes on a day off? Staithes, I don't know where that is.
Sorry, next one's gone through to the keeper. Sorry, I was just reading some correspondence as well.
Right. He goes on to say, do you think Arundel is a favourite away day of your opponents? In my opinion, the most beautiful cricket setting in the country. Well, I think it's true to say everyone who comes to Arundel thoroughly enjoys it. Say for broadcasting purposes, it's not the easiest, as it often isn't as away grounds, but that's just us being...
This Seals, final ball of this over, the 49th of the innings. Bowls edged, and that's another good slip catch, and Seals has got another one. Really good catch. Simpson actually flew across, I think, in front of the slips, but I think it was taken at slip, but it's a wicket for Brett Hutton, 210 for 8. Tom Clark has pouched that one. Really, really good morning now for Sussex as Notts lose their 8th wicket. Brett Hutton caught Clark, bowled Seals for 4. Just pushed at it. It flew very quickly low down. Wondered if Simpson was going to go all the way, but he pulled out. Let Clark take the catch.
Well, that's a magnificent catch by Tom Clark. He really has got a safe pair of hands. If they're listening down at Horsham Cricket Club, or Tom's dad is listening, and Chris Nash would know Tom very well. I mean, that was just an exceptional catch. The quality of slip fielding in this match is probably I've not seen before. There's not A chance has gone down. It's been absolutely sensational from both sides.
Yeah, Simpson didn't actually attempt to go for it. Needed Clark to hang on, and he did. There comes Josh Tong.
He hasn't got red socks on today.
No, he's got. He did the morning warm-ups and a little bit of football, volleyball, head tennis, whatever it is they play out there. He's got bright green socks on, I noticed. I've got some correspondence from a former teammate of mine, Paul Spray. Hello, fella, how are you? Dave, listening to... I'll have to come back to that because I've now been told we're going to do an update for Radio Nottingham in the next few seconds. So I'll come back to that in a second, Paul. New man is Josh Tongman, 210 for 8. The lead is only 41, and Notts are 40 runs away from a batting bonus point. And this morning, Adrian, I'll make it 46 for 5.
You're
something,
right, yes.
something like that.
Yes, you're correct. Yep.
3 is Robinson, bowls to Patterson White, and it's defended. 37. So they've been going for an hour. We've only had 12 overs, haven't we? I know we've had a lot of wickets go down, so they've only had 6 apiece. So not quite as dramatic as I was about to make out, the fact that they're now entering their second hour bowling together. Robinson has figures of 3 for 60 in his 19th over. Comes in again, bowls Liam Patterson White with a push into the offside, no run. And Jaden Seals, he's 14 overs, no maidens. He's gone for a lot of runs, 71, but that end column, very impressive now, 4 for 71.
Yes, he went for 44 yesterday in his 8. Didn't quite look himself, but he's been right on the money today.
Robinson going to change his angle of attack to round the wicket. Keeper and slips all move accordingly. There's Ollie Robinson into Patterson White. Drives this up to Seals at mid-off. There's no run. So just Farhan Ahmed to come for Notts. Can they muster up 40 more runs for a bonus point? Here is that update. And if yesterday was Nottinghamshire's morning, this has very firmly belonged to the visitors. They've taken 5 Nottinghamshire wickets this morning, only 46 runs added. The key wicket of Asiba Mead out for 85, one of 3 victims for Ollie Robinson. Jaden Seals has now got 4 in the innings, and Notts are 210 for 8, leading by 41. Just as I concluded that, a single taken by Patterson White from the latest delivery, pushing it out into the offside. When we get to the end of the over, I'll come back to Paul's email if I may. 211 for 8, Adrian.
How much do you think of this is due to these two changing ends? I mean, they both picked up wickets, so Sales has picked up 3 and Robinson 2, but quite interesting from last night.
There's your first question for the end of day, I would imagine, as Robinson bowls to Josh Tong, who defends. I mean, very often when you talk to seamers and swing bowlers, they'll talk about the breeze blowing across the ground, but you know, I've looked frequently. I've not even seen, you know, the flags might as well be strapped to the flagpole. There's not been any movement whatsoever from the flags all morning, so it's very, very still out there. 211 for 8. So it's not as if, you know, Robinson's getting excessive movement away from the right-handers with the breeze blowing across the ground, because there just isn't any breeze. Robinson in again, and that's gone through Tong and into the gloves of the keeper, and it's at the end of the 50th over. 211 for 8. I'll just knock this off from my mate Paul before we move on to anything else. I was listening to your discussion about least favourite cricket grounds. How about most unlucky ones? Because Headingley is certainly mine. 1975, I was travelling to the test match at Headingley, only to hear on the radio that the pitch had been dug up. So went back to Nottingham and watched Notts play Lancashire. Was that Freddie Davis or something?
Yes, it was. It was
Ronnie Davis, Freddie Davis, or something.
Yeah,
The picture was
George
dug up.
Davis.
George Davis, free George Davis, and all that nonsense.
Yeah. Ruined the last day of the test, didn't it?
Yeah. 25 years later, 2000, I'd got a ticket for the test match at Headingley on day 3. The game was over in 2 days. I commentated on that. That was the West Indies test match. Here's Jayden Seales.
Coming into bowl to Patterson White, who drives firmly through the offside. They're just going to pick up a single. Daniel Hughes has to move very quickly to his right to field, and it's just a single to Patterson White. He goes to 11, 212 for 8.
Yeah, that was in the days when Cricinfo had the rights for test match commentaries, and I did that test match. Caddick got a bundle of wickets, absolute bundle of wickets. In fact, he got 4 in 1 over in that one, and I think Curtly Ambrose get... I don't know.
A shot of this in this morning, to be honest. It was slightly over pitch, and it's clipped away through mid-wicket for 4 runs to get Josh Tong on his way. 216 for 8.
And then Paul and his Headingley escapades conclude with my 3rd visit was for the 50-over game in 2018, again at Headingley. The game was abandoned without a ball being bowled.